Welcome to Built by People Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Daria Rudnik, and this show is for HR and L&D leaders, those building real impact from within and shaping AI-ready organizations. If you go to dariarudnik.com, you can download the State of HR in AI Transformation 2026 report, fresh new. And today we have a very special guest. I'm so excited to have this conversation. It's John Pezoulas, co-founder and managing partner of Ready, Set, Exec, a specialized boutique executive search firm specializing in sales, marketing, HR, and operations in USA and Canada. John has over 20 years of recruitment experience from staffing to executive search, as well as operational experience managing large budgets and teams up to 300 employees. Welcome, John. It's great to have you here.
Yes, thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro. Appreciate it.
Well, tell us a little bit about your experience. Why did you choose this path?
I think anyone who's gone into recruitment, you kind of fall into it, like I was in marketing initially. I had taken marketing in school, and then I was managing a team, and we had to do experiential marketing, which we have a lot of reps. I was recruiting all the time because there was a lot of turnover. And I just learned how to recruit by this. I learned how to do community recruiting, going to all the social centers and organizations, nonprofits, getting people. Recruiting was a big part of the job. Probably half the job was recruiting. And then after a few years, I got recruited. I got headhunted by a staffing agency that was looking for a manager to manage the offices in the city. And that's how I got into it. And since then, I've just been going and stepping up from staffing. And then I got into direct placements, into exec search with a few startups. And finally, after for all that, we decided to start our own firm. 3 years ago, we started Ready, Set, Exec. Yeah, it's been a evolution, I guess, and just always trying to do something different and better. And I think this is probably the pinnacle now with exec search is my favorite because of the direct relationships you build. It's been great.
That is kind of my next question. You told us why you went into recruitment, but why did you stay? What made you stay? What's the best part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I always tell people is recruitment is for-profit social work. It's helping people achieve their potential, helping people get their next opportunity. It's dealing directly with people and trying to help them. I think that to me was the satisfaction. Like I've had a lot of people I've placed over the years come back or talk to me, and you can change their lives with the right job. It's really that kind of amazing thing you can do for someone. And I like giving people opportunities, giving them a chance. You can give them opportunity, that it's up to them to show up. My dad used to say to me, you can bring the donkey to water, you can't make it drink. So a lot of times it's finding the right match, and then if they want it enough, they'll make it happen, right? That's always sit with me. I think I like that. I like the people aspect and helping, and social work, wasn't for me without the profit piece, because I also am money motivated. So the two hand in hand works great.
Mm-hmm. And I also like the part when, like, a good recruiter will tell you, I mean, you're not a fit for this position. Look for something different. It's not the best for you. Because sometimes I know people are desperate. They want just any job, but you will not be happy. You will not be effective in any job. Sometimes recruiters are best people to tell you, okay, you should probably look for something else as well.
Yeah, I mean, some people, I think, like when they're young, it's good to take some risks and try some jobs that are out of your comfort zone. Like, I mean, for me, I went to some jobs like telemarketing and cold calling and sales and things like that, where some of them were not in my comfort zone. When you're young, you can take those risks. And then later on, you'll start to figure out what you're best suited for. And I think taking some of those free assessments really gives you an idea too, like what you're good at and what you can target. And now with AI, I mean, you could do research on all sorts of things and what best suits you for what job path to take and so on. So what I always tell everyone is, like, everyone has their own superpower, their own strengths. Some people are very good at organizing. For example, my daughter's like a Mary Kondi. She goes, if she sees a mess, she'll go and organize everything perfectly. So I know for her, getting into operations or something like that would be great, because she likes everything organized and systematic. That's just natural. That's just like how she is. She also loves sales. Like, it's a big passion of her, making money. And so I'm like, okay, sales and operations, there you go, RevOps, whatever. Like, that's your That's your thing for sure. I think you got to really play to your strengths, and everyone has something they're very good at. And if you enjoy it as well, that's even better. So, and that's what's going to give you the passion to succeed in a career. You need to love what you do.
Yeah. What do you think? How deep should recruiters know the business and the role that they're like searching candidates for? Like if you are a tech recruiter, how much do you need to know tech? If you are looking for a CFO, how much do you need to understand finance or strategy or business?
I think to a certain extent, you need to know enough that the person you're interviewing you is not going to be able to create a picture that's not true. The old thing we used to say in construction, when you're interviewing construction workers, everybody thinks they're a master carpenter, but really most of them are just laborers. They don't know carpentry. Same thing in tech, in engineering role or whatnot. You have to know enough to be able to vet them properly, right? You need to know what questions to ask, how to sniff out the bogus claims, because like on the AI resumes now, there's a lot of hallucinations and made up stuff. So the vetting aspect, you need to know the inside lingo and some of the jargon. But I think the biggest thing is a good recruiter is a good recruiter. And I personally have done searches for roles that I really knew almost nothing about. And using AI and a few days of research, I was able to understand the vertical or what the technical role was and recruit for it successfully. The first thing you should be looking for is who you're working with is a good recruiter that knows what they're doing, has the process down. It's all about
Well, how
process.
do you know a good recruiter?
How do I know a good recruiter? So that's a good question. So I'll tell you what aspects I think I've seen in some of the best recruiters out there. People that are curious. So if you don't know something, you're going to go research it and find out what it is. You're always a lifelong learner. So you're constantly improving and learning. So for example, if I want to start recruiting in a new vertical, I'm going to learn everything. I'm going to talk to 100, 200 people in the vertical to understand what their pain points are. I'm going to research about it, read publications about it, spend months and months understanding it, immerse myself in the vertical. That's the kind of work that I would do. And that's the kind of curiosity and lifelong learning you need to have to really like take ownership of, like, I need to know everything better than the people in it, to a certain extent. And that's how you get the credibility of a subject matter expert. It doesn't take too long if you're determined to learn a new vertical to recruit in, but you need to put the effort and the time. It's really the time in space. So not only interacting with people in the vertical, but also the research, the publications, the back end sort of knowledge piece that you have to get, right? Obviously, if you worked in a vertical, it's even better. And that's why with us, for example, we do sales, marketing, HR, and operations. The reasons we do those for is because we've worked in those verticals ourselves. We've recruited in them for years. We have done the job and also managed people in those operations and sales roles and so on. And so it's something we've hit it from every angle, and that's why we feel confident in those four types of roles, right? Other people are more confident in tech roles and so on. I think having a niche is important, but not discounting the fact that a good recruiter can recruit any role if they given some time to do the research on it. I'm not going to say that it's impossible. It depends what you're looking for as well. Like in some areas for recruiting, you need to have a network of candidates already. And so that's why people look for the vertical expertise, because they assume there's a network of candidates that they already have in play. For other types of roles that are niche roles, you really have to do a headhunt because you got to make sure it's exhaustive and everyone's been captured in there. I leave it up to the individual. What role are we looking for and how hard is it to find? And that gives you an idea of who you should have to recruit on it.
I like what you said. I mean, curiosity and learning. Like to my previous question, yes, as a recruiter, it's not enough to like send CV to hiring manager or ask questions about how do you handle conflicts and what's your strengths or what's your weaknesses. It's also important to understand, okay, what is the role you're hiring for, so that you know what you're talking about. Well, recruitment is not just filling in roles, especially when it comes to executive search. It's impact on business. It's basically you are co-creating an executive team. And I've seen in scale-ups, sometimes the situation is like, oh, we need to go fast. We need a CTO, we need a VP of sales, we need a chief AI officer now. And then, but probably our organization's not ready for that yet. Maybe it is the right time, maybe it's not the right time, maybe it's the right person, maybe it's not, maybe it's the right role, maybe it's not. How do you deal with situations like that? And have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times they think they need something they don't need, or you really could use a CMO here. And then you ask them, what's your budget? Oh, 100,000. I mean, like, get out of here. 100,000 is not going to cut it. So I think a big part with startups that we usually find is let's have a consultation. Let's really talk about where you're at. What's your ARR? What's your revenue right now? Are you going to be able to cover these big salaries? Like, what does that look like? And do we need to hire? Maybe we should hire for right now versus what you need later on. So with a startup, there's different sort of phases. Like you say A, B, C, D sort of series, or you go by revenue too. When you're starting off, you can't afford a 300K salary. So in marketing, what we typically see is, as an example, we need a marketer. Okay, so we'll find you a director level candidate, maybe around 125, 150K. They can do everything, but they're not super strategic. They may not have had teams before that they've managed. They're not a high end marketer, but they can get the job done for what you need initially to get some revenue. That person later on, once you hit 10 million or whatever, you think, okay, they're not strategic enough now. We need to now bring in a real CMO or a VP of marketing. See, so depending on the stage you're at, you got to buy or bring in the talent you need at the time, and that may need to be changed later on. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you can't keep those people in other roles or keep them inside the company. Sometimes you do have to let people go as part of your growth because they're holding you back from the next level. And that's just a natural life cycle of a startup. We see it all the time. You can also supplement, though, by bringing in fractional CMO to support the marketer. That way, you have the best of both worlds. There's a lot of different strategies involved. And so I think that's where the consultation with the startup is. What do you really need? Is it just the title you're looking for because it sounds good? Maybe we should not use that title because there's an expectation of a certain salary. Don't call it a CMO when there's only 5 people in the company. Call it a director of marketing. It sounds better. It's more, for what the scope is and so on. So is those kind of like, you talk to the founder and you're like, I understand what you're trying to do. What's your goal for this role? What is what is the job description? Let's go through that. Okay, that role is really a director, or that's a VP, or having those conversations is important before the search even starts. And then also compensation. What can you afford to pay realistically? Now, one of the options they have with startups is offering equity and bonus as an option to lower the salaries, to lower your burn rate, especially in the startup where you can't afford 200-300K base. But then also being realistic, okay, what the bonus going to be? What is our projected revenue? What can we really afford here? And then, a lot of times people have that wine, champagne taste, a beer budget. It's like we got to be realistic with who we can afford and bring in. Another piece with that too with startups is no one knows you. You think your company is the best. You have the best software. You have the best everything. No one knows you. No one cares. Sorry. And now we have to get someone that's working for a competitor that's established, that's making money, to come and work for you. They're not going to leave their job and come work for you for the same money. They want a big upside. So they're looking for equity. They're looking for a big bonus package, long-term, high growth kind of potential for income with you. That's why you'd want to come to a startup. And the way we position that is, a few things we got to do to position that to the candidates, because the founder always believes their baby is beautiful, and sometimes you got to tell them the baby's ugly. It's kind of a hard conversation because there is competition, and especially in tech, for example, it's to attract good candidates, you have to usually pony up quite a bit of money or equity to make people want to make a move for you.
So it's basically either like you pay more or you give a title, but you don't want to give a title because you might need a more senior person sometime later on on your way?
I mean, for some companies, I like to give the head of role, and that makes the person feel, okay, I got a better title. It looks good on the resume. If they were a director before, that'll help them sort of move up for their next role after that. But I think end of the day, money talks, equity talks. Those are the things that people are really looking for. Unfortunately, like if you're a no-name startup that has no web presence or no, GitHub and all these reviews you're looking for on the socials and so on, not G2 reviews because those are usually paid, but I'm talking like real reviews. If you're not well known, then you have to attract. And which ways can you attract? By good, work-life balance, remote work, maybe good pay packages, good equity package, good culture, sure. Sometimes people just love working in startups, and that's a great thing. They just love to go and build. So that's also a draw for some people. I like to build something new. The company I'm with right now, it's very much like I'm just churning the dials for leads. That's all I'm doing. And here I can build from the ground up the whole brand. I mean, that's interesting for some people.
Maybe that's why you shouldn't probably be hunting people for startup from Google or Meta because, well, there's a different kind of people. But also, we also had an episode on employer branding when we talked about build your brand now. Don't wait when you need it. Like when you launch a startup, start building your brand. You don't have a company brand yet, but you do have a founder brand. So like people can come to founders, to specific founders. They follow them on LinkedIn. They follow them, I don't know, on other social media. They like what they're doing. They like the energy. They like charisma. They like the product. And okay, yeah, I might want to risk and join the company and see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, every business needs to have someone as a brand ambassador. Usually it's the founder. Not every founder likes doing it. You got to have someone as the face of the business for sure. It's very much building that trust, especially in a new startup for sure. So, I mean, sometimes they have like the founding sales rep, the founding BDR be the face, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think whoever's best suited for it should take that role on and run with it. And now it's almost essential now that there's someone in the company that is the face, that is doing socials. I don't think it's even for recruiting salespeople now, we look at their social presence for salespeople. So it's definitely something that's more and more important. As I said, we're becoming entertainers as well as our regular jobs, being talking heads on the internet.
Social influencers, yeah, posting on LinkedIn, everywhere, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok.
It's kind of table stakes now.
I'll tell you a story, my personal story. I was working for the company and they were hiring executives, but for the last, I don't know, few years, no executive lasted more than 18 months. And they were all gone in 18 months for different reasons. Some had to relocate, some had to like find another job, some were fired, some left because of the restructuring. But it still it kind of sounds like a signal. So what do you say about when companies are hiring an executive level leader? How can they make sure that they actually stay?
I think at the executive level, people leave because of their boss. That's like their CEO or their leader that they're reporting to. Yeah. So that's something I would say is to take a look at. Why are they leaving? I mean, there could be a lot of different reasons, but I know that people will stick around, if they really like working with their leader, because it's hard finding a boss that you can get along with and know that they got your back and trust and so on. So I think that's important. At the same time, at the C level, there's a lot of turnover with certain roles. Like marketing, for example, the average is I think it's 18 months for a marketing leader right now, the turnover, because of the results and the alignment with sales and marketing and where it needs to be. So it's a tough space. There's a lot of pressure too on these public companies to get results. So I guess it depends if it's private or public, how that goes. But then you see other companies where the C-level, the whole team is together for years and they're doing well. It's rapport. So I'd say end of the day, everything falls on the CEO because it's their business, like in the board. Like they need to get their their ducks in a row. Why are we having this turnover? Is it our leader that's doing this and causing this? Or is it just a really unstable time for the economy? That's why we've had turnover. So you look at it as like, oh, we had COVID, we had supply chain issues, wars, and so on. There's going to be turnover because of disruptions that happen to business. And so we had to make cuts. That's one thing. Or is it because people are leaving on their own for other opportunities? So what are we
It is
paying?
expensive to replace senior. I mean, it is very expensive to replace.
Yeah, we actually built a costing calculator that we give to our clients to show, based on the leader you're looking for, what is the cost of you doing it by yourself, trying to recruit on it for 6 months, or using an agency, or using us, or what kind of impact do you see to the business, right? So in most cases, yes, you don't want a C-level position open for more than a month or two, realistically, or it does cost you money, and a lot of times people are looking at the other way. They're just seeing the salary, right? They see the salary on the P&L and they say, oh, we're saving money by not having that position filled. And then you're like, well,
how much are you losing for not getting product done on time?
There's a lot of those externalities, those internal costs you don't see on the P&L. They just sort of disappear, and then you're wondering why you're not in sales growth or something. Even operations. There's a case also for HR. Like if you don't have an HR leader and then your attrition goes up, you have a lot of people leaving, that is a cost as well that you're not calculating. Every person that leaves is, 230% of salary, they say, is what the cost of someone leaving is, on average. So if a person's worth 100K, it's, $230,000 by them leaving. That's the cost of replacement.
Yeah. It's a great tool. Like when somebody's looking for a unicorn, oh, that's one is not our industry. That's too old. That's too young. This one is wrong type of hair, wrong, and this kind of things. When they're looking for something that or someone who's probably there are people like that on the market, but to find them will take you more time than to actually start doing the job.
It's a hard thing to have turnover, and not only disrupting the business, but also disrupts the whole C-suite, the whole team, because a new person's coming in, you have to ramp them up, you have to build rapport, start over. There's that institutional knowledge as well we often forget about. If you have the same team working together for 5 years, everything works smoothly because you guys know how to work with each other. You know what they're strong in, what you're strong in, and you can, it's like everyone leans on each other and so on. It's just like anything. The more practice, the more perfect you get, right? The more the reps you get of something together, it's faster and more efficient. So if you have to keep redoing that every 18 months, yeah, you never find the rhythm of the business, and it's just disruptive, right? And it also creates more personality conflicts. I think if you have the same 5 people, you're like, okay, I know I don't like Jim, but I can work with him. But if you have someone new in the seat every year, then you're like, oh, who's the new person?
That's the story I told you about. Like they had a core team that was working together for, I don't know, 6-10 years together, and then when new person is coming, they just couldn't be there because they've kind of pushed out of the company because of this core team that used to work together. Okay, we know that this one talks too much, this one talks, I mean, they all have their flaws, but we know their flaws and we like working together. We don't want anyone from external world interrupting our cozy corner.
Well, it's also the pressure too. Every time you bring a new person in, the pressure it creates on the business in terms of like the new person now is like, oh, I have to make an impact right away. And so they're stressed because it's like, oh, I got to make an impact right away or I'm going to be gone too, because this role, they keep changing.
Yeah.
And they'll hear, right? When they come in and they'll talk to everybody, be like, yeah, that the role you're in, we've had 3 people in 5 years. They'll find that out. And then they'll get stressed that, oh, I need to do something. And so that can sometimes create rash decisions because they're like, okay, it's all short-term thinking now. I just need to win in 90 days to keep my job. I don't think it's good for the work environment and the culture if that's, it kind of all falls apart when you have a lot of attrition, a lot of changes. You never get that rhythm of the business. One's feeling confident and working well together. There's something to be said for that. And I think this is a culture building exercise. Recruiting is also a culture building exercise.
Yes.
in that sense, right? So
And the next step, like you hire someone, and the next step is onboarding. Onboard them so that they know what they're doing, onboard them, have this relationship with the CEO, and onboarding with the team. Like you said, every new person disrupts the team, which is, I mean, it might be hard, but it's good. It kind of brings new flood, new ideas, new thoughts. So, but being able to accept this new person, to quickly learn how to work together so that it's not, this disruption is not like moving, is not standing in the way of efficiency. That's something organizations need to do internally. Well, John, I'm really curious. Like, you're an expert. What's with the job market? What should we expect in 2026?
yeah, so I mean, I'd say in general, we're saying if you're an executive, you're looking, your job search is going to take you 6 to 9 months. I would say you need to look at what industry you're in because some industries are still hiring, some are not. That I'd say do some research, right? I'd say some of the hot markets right now are anything that are AI enabled or AI driven, like health tech and insure tech, any kind of tech enabled that's also integrating AI. There's a lot of hiring in those spaces. Supply chain, while there was some disruption, and obviously with the tariffs and everything else going on, there's some disruption. Certain industries are still doing okay. Oil and gas, I mean, it's sort of a roller coaster across different industries. So I'd say for everybody, just sort of, there's a lot of job hugging going on, meaning like people are holding on to their jobs more than ever right now because they're unsure of the future, what's going to happen. So you're not seeing as much people move around, but yet unemployment remains pretty high, and that's and you're seeing continued layoffs in the tech sector. With everybody just sort of buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. I can't predict what's going to happen because the news changes every day. You know, I didn't think we'd be having war in Iran. You know, this is not on my bingo card for 2026. A lot of weird
So
things
much
have
we
been
didn't
happening.
expect in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, just buckle up. It's going to be a wild one. If anyone can predict the markets, they're making money. I really don't know what's going to happen, but I'll just say in general, yes, job search is taking longer. The top jobs we're seeing for recruitment are sales, operations jobs are the top. I'd say certain sectors like HR, very slow right now on the HR side. Very slow for like certain tech roles as well because of all the layoffs. There's so much talent out there. So really just do the research. You know, using AI, you can quickly do research on your sector, see what's going on, and see who's in growth. Right, there's still some companies that are growing and going towards who's actually hiring and so on. Right, so be strategic with your job search for sure.
Well, thank you so much, John. It was an incredible conversation. We talked about what makes a good recruiter, curiosity and willingness to learn quickly. And we talked about hiring new executives might disrupt your team, but also how you can make it better and more efficient. And what will happen on the job market in this year, in 2026. We don't know that, but well, we can make some estimated guess. Well, thank you so much, John. How people can find you? How can they learn more about what you do and if they need your help?
Yeah, so they can look me up, John Pezoulas on LinkedIn, or visit us at readysetexec.com.
We have all the links in the notes of this episode. Stay with us for the next episodes. If you like this show, please rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And stay tuned for the next episodes. Bye bye.
Thank you.